Hey everybody, it's Rick Trummer again from Rick Trummer Consulting and Training. And I'm sorry I didn't get the video up yesterday, but what I'm going to be doing is giving you video today, tomorrow, and Friday instead of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're going to be going this week on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And so you have to excuse me. Things get busy around here and a bunch of people are looking for information. And so I always want to make sure I get it to them. So these are done on the day that they're going up for the most part. A lot of conventions coming up, a lot of traveling with certain groups. So I'm going to try to get these things out for you as much as I can. This week, we're going to be talking about blending options inside Photoshop. And this is a really, really strong area that you can go in, use different textures and backgrounds, and we have a bunch of them for sale on our website. Textures and backgrounds, you can shoot your own. I always tell everybody, if you're out there and doing some shoots, make sure you shoot some cool textures and backgrounds that are out there. I'll kind of give you some clues on what might work for that. We're going to this week we're kind of moving into that. Next week, where I think we'll probably head back to some of the color questions, but a lot of people have been asking about blending options inside Photoshop. Well, this is how it works. When you're working with your brush or any individual layer, you know that you've got all of these different blending options that you can use, whether it be in the brush or in any particular layer. Well, what do they all mean? What does everything go into when you're using these different blending options? There are some photographers that just use blending options when they're inside Photoshop, especially when they're using textures, or different backgrounds. They're just using a blending option to be able to bring those through. So let's talk a little bit about it. We're not going to get into any majorly advanced things, but we are definitely going to be starting to work with blending options, and I'm going to show you some ins and outs on how it all works. So as predicted, when you're dealing with blending options and you're working with normal, basically what you're doing is you're leaving the state of that layer in its normal image. You're not touching it at all. It's just normal. And of course, you can always, inside the palette over here, you could always take the opacity down on that layer, but it's working from its normal state. When you're working with dissolve, basically what it's doing is it's kind of blending in some different, and you're getting kind of a speckled look on that. We'll kind of go through that, and I'm going to show you an image on top of another image to let you know what that all does. The next set of instructions, or the next set of blending options, are darken, multiply, color burn, linear burn, and darker color. These are all dealing with keeping your image darker, kind of darker, okay? And we're going to kind of show you that as you go through. The next state down, we're working with, again, lighten, screen, color dodge, linear dodge, and lighter color. And those will lighten your actual image into the image that's coming in from behind. So the first one kind of darkens them. Second one kind of lightens them. This second series. Now there's kind of a favorite in each area that you'll kind of go through all the time. Multiply is kind of where a lot of people land when they're working with the set of darkening filters or darkening blending options. In the lighten area, you're going to probably land on screen most of the time. And the next section is on contrast. This deals with the contrast of it. And you'll probably end up with the first three here, whether it be overlay, soft light, or hard light. My favorite is soft light. You'll notice this is kind of developing a pattern. Kind of the second one in is where a lot of people land, especially when we're working with the darken, the lighten, and the contrast filters. Now, when we're working with contrast, what this does is it takes both the light and the dark of the image and creates more contrast ratio with that. This next set of blending options is kind of a comparative state, especially with difference and exclusion. What we're going to do is you're going to be doing more of a comparative state, and especially in subtraction and divide, where you're getting certain aspects of an image are going to be wiped out completely, or when you divide, you're taking out certain aspects of that image and dividing into the image below. So we'll take a look at that. And the last set is dealing with composites or color. And we're going to be kind of working ourselves into that. So what does this all mean when we're dealing with blending options? Maybe you have never even used these yourself. If you haven't, you're missing out of a lot of really cool stuff. Let's take an image here and kind of go through these different stages. So what I've got here is just my standard image, my standard background image. And what I did is I brought in a textured file that went over to the top. So putting these into different blending options, here we are. You can see the same blending options that I already told you about are over here on the right-hand side of the page. So when we go into darken, basically what it's doing is it's taking the dark part of those photographs and bringing it forward. Same thing with multiply, okay? And you'll find that you're going to like some of these most often. Color burn, again, dealing with the dark side of these images, and then going through the darker color. Now, if you want to, when you go into lighten or screen, again, these are the most popular when you're doing these types of bleeds. You're again working with the light side of these photographs, color dodge, linear dodge, and of course, lighter color. If you're cycling through these particular colors and you don't want to have to come over here and keep kind of clicking into this stuff, what you can do is you can actually just hold down the shift key and your plus button. And what that'll do is it'll cycle through all of the different blending options that you have here. If you use the minus key, it's going to go in the directions from the top to the bottom. If you're going in the other direction, it's going from the bottom to the top. So it's a nice way to be able to cycle through these. So speaking in the contrast area, now we're talking about the overlay. And again, you're going to find your favorite when you go in here. Soft light and hard light are going to be probably the most used different blending options you have. And of course, from there, you can go to blending and vivid light, and kind of go down through and take a look at all of these different options that you have. Let's back up this image for just a second and take you into now the comparative area that's inside here. Here's difference, and if you remember properly, we use difference in the retouching example that I gave for dealing with eyeglasses and stuff. Exclusion, subtract, and divide. So all of these have very, very different functionalities to it when you're working with blending options. And then the last ones here, of course, are composites or color area. And you can see we can deal with the hue, the saturation part of it, color, and the luminosity. Basically what it's doing is it's taking the luminosity from the image above, taking it below. The color, it's taking the color of that file, using it down below. Saturation, kind of doing the same thing, taking that little bit of color. And then the hue value, of course, is taking that color from where it is to be able to go in. When you do a Command U, once you're in here, you can actually take the saturation up or change the hue value of this particular image when you're inside here. So it's a very quick way. Just Command U to get into the filter range, and we'll go through some of those other options that you have once we get more into the blending options. So for today, that's kind of a quick outline of what all those blending options do inside Photoshop. So tomorrow we're going to be hitting some other subjects inside blending options, and I hope you enjoy this series on blending options for this first time we've done this. So I'm hoping that you're enjoying it. So again, I'm Rick Trummer from Rick Trummer Consulting and Training. If you are looking for textures and backgrounds, you can always go to the Rick Trummer website, ricktrummer.com. Let's get there now. And right inside of our products area, you can click into all of the different products that we have, including backgrounds, texture screens, all that different stuff inside here. So hopefully you're enjoying this series. Have a great day, and we'll be back with you tomorrow.